guys. Yes, so welcome back. Welcome to yet another episode of HeartBeats and Hope. As a matter of fact, the very first episode of HeartBeats and Hope, official episode. I am very excited to have you. It's been a very beautiful time. You guys have been so supportive. You've showed me so much love. Thank you, all of you, the subscribers. Thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for um liking. It's been a very great time, and I am excited to have you here once again. Once again, this is Dr. Masike Bugela, and this is Heartbeats and Hope, where we talk about medicine or career, life, and the moments in between. I'm very excited to have you, and I know we are going to enjoy this journey together. So, today, for our very first episode, I thought that I should start by discussing something that I find very integral, and I think that everyone should get to a point and pause and think about this. This is not just for doctors or medics. This is for everyone that is in the career, that has any specific career. Maybe you are a lawyer and you wake up every morning to go to your courtroom. Maybe you are an engineer and you go to your field or your office. Maybe you are a shopkeeper and you open your shop every day. Whichever thing you do, a teacher who goes to teach every day, as long as you have any career, I thought that today is, to begin with, it is important for us to have the conversation of career vis-a-vis calling. Are they just careers, or could there be more than just a career? Could it be a calling? And I understand that many of us really found ourselves in different careers in different ways. For example, there are some of us or some of you who were good performers. You performed very well in PLE, went to a very good school. For those of you who are in Uganda, whichever country, your level of education. From primary school, you did very well. You went to secondary school, and then your teachers told you, this grade, these ones are for doctors. Then you applied and then somehow passed, and then you got into medical school. And you're here, a doctor by excellence, not really by passion or anything. And then there are some who, I want to be a doctor before I die. I want to be a doctor before I die. And then, sadly, things didn't work out, and maybe you ended up in any other different course. But at what point do we pause and say, well, I actually thought I wanted to be a doctor, but from the way I feel in this that I am doing, I actually thought I wanted to be a lawyer, but from the way I feel in this that I am doing, perhaps there could be more than just a career. Perhaps there is more, there is a calling. Sometime back, I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and we talked about how when we got into the workspace, when you're getting out of school, you're very excited because, well, you're even praying for a job. You're believing God for those of us who are Christians, and we're going to sit out and wait and wait to get a job immediately after school. And indeed, for at least me and many of my friends, that was the case. And then shortly after, you start to realize that it's routine. You wake up in the morning, you go to work, and then you come back or you come back home, and it's Monday, and it's Monday, and it's Monday, and it's Monday, and like, when does this stop? And then you realize that you're working to earn, to eat, to live, to earn, to work, and like, it's just a never-ending cycle. And then it comes from the place of where you thought, me getting this job is an answer to my prayer, to the question of, could there be more? Could there be more to this? Is this all? Like, had you ever actually paused and thought, what more is there? Okay, yes, you've been working in this career, and now you're thinking, I should go and do masters. But really, perhaps the reason why you want to really go and do masters is because you're hoping that there is a certain routine that is going to break, and then you feel more fulfilled. And that's what causes us to want to do many other things. So I thought that to begin with, it would be important to have a conversation about finding, maybe just maybe there is a certain calling in your career. And I believe when you find that kind of calling, then we get to enjoy work a little more, and we get to find purpose, and then we get to find fulfillment. You wake up every day because you know there is more to there is more to life. There is something you're going to enjoy today. So, for me to discuss this, I thought that I should share my 2 cents in the matter, and I summarized it into five lessons I have learned in my journey. And I want to believe that I have found a calling in medicine. I have found a calling in my life as a doctor, and I know there is still so much more to discover. We still have a long life together with you and I, and perhaps 5 years from now I'm going to tell you, oh, I thought I had actually really, yes, got this to the maximum, but I have gotten more, because that's what life is about. But in the previous days that I have had, and I thought I should share these 5 things, and please feel free to add as many as you can, your own understanding, your own experience. Please indulge us in the comment section. So for the very first lesson, um, hmm, I have realized that not every childhood dream is just a dream. Hmm. So, I remember that I actually thought there were 2 careers in life. I thought there was a teacher because both of my parents were teachers. And then there was a doctor because if we were not at home, we were in a hospital. And yeah, so everything else that was moving up, I don't know. Well, my brother, on the other hand, wanted to be a driver. We showed up to him because he thought that when he was the driver of a car, you're the owner of the car. So how we lived in the same house, and one thought that there are 2 careers, another one thought, me, whatever it is, I want to be a driver because I want to. But yet, so I believe this is very important for even the parents. I wanted to be a doctor. From as far as I can remember, I wanted to be a doctor. When we had skits in class, for me, if there was anyone that was required to be I wanted to be that one in that particular place. I didn't know why. I didn't even know what it was. Perhaps I didn't even know what doctors do until I was in medical school. And I believe many of us don't even know. We think we actually do. But it was a childhood dream. And I remember my mom kept actually helping me to not forget. Every time we would be maybe amongst children, and then they're asking, what do you want to be? She almost always reminded me, this one wants to be a doctor. I remember a time we had something at home, and one of the people was sick, and then we took them to the hospital, and then we came back. One of the statements my mom made was, it is very important to have a doctor in our family. And then I felt like she was speaking directly to my heart, like, this is it's you that I am calling out. And so it was something I wanted to be, and now I am it. And I'm not saying that everyone who wanted to be everything became it, but I'm saying that maybe that cousin of yours who is always opening your computer and telling you, me, I want to be an engineer, maybe they're not just stubborn. Maybe there is a certain purpose, a certain calling, a certain something that is calling them to who they are. So that's something that I have learned, and I think I have friends who did biology with me and ended up in engineering school, ended up in law school. And when you have conversations with them, you realize that From way back, there was something about them that called them to be this thing. And yeah, it may not be your case, but I think that especially if you are an elder brother, an elder sister, a parent, now that you are already past that stage, it is important to look into the young children and see what their dreams are. If your sister is saying, me, I want to be a pilot, perhaps there is something there. Don't just say every child wants to be a pilot. Yes, and that is lesson number one. Not every childhood dream is just a dream, even though some are really just dreams. But therein is something. Therein is something that connects to what I can say is eternity. Yes. So, and for lesson number two, it is okay to be uncertain at a certain level of your life. I know that we really want to know what we are supposed to be, what our callings are. And when you're still young and maybe you're still in high school, there is that thing that you want to be the careers that you hear about. You want to either be a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. And if you are not any of them, then you don't feel like you have made it. And then when you're like tossed to and fro, and sometimes it can feel frustrating. But today I actually realized that on my Facebook account, when I opened it in my senior two, on the professions place, I put an electrical engineer. I don't know what electrical software, one of it. But there was a certain point in my life where I knew, for me, I am an engineer. But remember, from childhood, I wanted to be a doctor, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a doctor. Then I get to a point and I'm like, I think engineers are cool. I think they are the cool guys. Then I want to be an engineer. Then I also happen to do debate a lot in my young life. And when I would stand to talk, and I feel like, yes, we won this competition, but I think I can win a case in court. I think I am meant to be a lawyer. So, and there was there was a lot. There was a lot. I moved from one to another, from one to another, and I have friends who moved from everywhere to everywhere. Like we had said, there are some of us who wanted to be everything until we ended up whatever we are. Now we want to be what we are because we have wanted to be everything. I believe that it is okay to be uncertain at a certain point, to move from one place to another. But what is most important is to stay true to something within. And I understand that there is a certain point in life where it's really hard to pinpoint that one thing. But then again, by grace, somehow you're propelled and propelled and propelled to where you should be. So, career versus calling. I do very much believe that the career that you end up in is very important. And recently a man that I honor made a statement, and he said that in most instances your primary profession is very much tied to your primary purpose, so your primary calling. So if you are a teacher by profession, there is a big likelihood that your purpose also lies in teaching. If you are an engineer, if you are into information technology, if you are into name it, there is a likelihood that whatever you are doing as a career is also actually your purpose, even in God. So it is very important. And I pray, even as I speak, that the younger children, the younger generation that is still at the point of deciding, as a matter of fact, even the older ones, because you can be in a career now, maybe you're a medic, and then you've just discovered that, I fear blood. I don't think I can handle this thing anymore. And then you're like, I think let me go back and perhaps do IT. I prefer IT. So that place to discover who you are. And I believe that while it is okay to be uncertain, it is important also to seek out a certain place in God, in you, in deep within, to find out what in your career resonates with who you are truly. And then number 3 is don't underestimate your passions, even if you can't explain them. Yes, so I believe that perhaps in my previous conversation, I have already kind of hinted on this. But like I said, I think personally I had an experience of being, by the grace of God, good at so many things. I remember I used to do science, technology, and innovation, and so that leaned a lot into engineering. Then I used to talk a lot, and that leaned into the mass communication and law and the likes. But there was just an unexplained passion that I carried for the white coats. Every time maybe there was a movie that featured any doctor, and please, whichever country had produced it, whether they were tying the caliber on the hand and strapping it there, whether they were saying a drug is called sodium hydroxide, whatever, as long as it featured a white coat, it drew me a certain way. And so there was a certain passion for me, a certain passion for medicine, a certain passion for, I remember in primary something, I used to move out. I was playing with a friend of mine, and we were moving from one tree in the compound, from one tree to another, one tree to another, and picking points of the leaves and saying we are going to manufacture the vaccine or the treatment against HIV from way back. So there are some things that you perhaps love and you don't even know why you love them. And maybe you're in your form 4 and you're thinking, should I do biology? Should I do physics? What should I do? I actually, for me, when my results came back for O level, I had a dilemma, a good dilemma, because I had passed every subject literally. So, one of the people in my family encouraged me to do engineering because physics was easier to pass than biology, so I had a better chance to get government scholarship and finish school generally. So I went to school, and yes, by the way, I went to Mary Hill High School. Shout outs to every Mary Hill girl out there. Yes, so I went to school and asked to do physics, chemistry, and mathematics. Then I went back home. But really, it was the pressure of you pass this thing, and from what people are saying, it is so hard for you to pass biology because, yeah, biology is hard. So you'd rather do this that is apparently easier to pass, which from many other people's experiences, actually not necessarily true. So I go back home, and I remember that night I went to my bed, and my young brain pictured me in an overall, climbing electric trees and sorting electricity. And I said, no, perhaps not this. Then I imagined myself, okay, for all engineers, I am really sorry. I have now learned I have learned that you don't really climb electric trees all the time, and that you don't climb on top of houses. But at that point, my brain was telling me that where's be an engineer, and then you're going to like be in a ceiling somewhere and bump people fall out of the ceiling. Oh God. So I imagined every kind of engineering. Then I saw myself going into a well to mine out things in an over. I'm like, no, 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 this is not it. In the night, said this is not it, this is not it. Then I saw myself in a white coat. You know, as I speak, I am literally replaying the vision I had. We call it a vision, but really as awake and just picturing my life. And I saw myself in a white coat, moving up, sorting patients. And I was like, this is it. This is it. You know, they say the white collar jobs. And then I this one like that a white collar job. I love you all, it's meals. I honor you come up. And then I went back to school and I said, this thing won't work. Then I changed it from physics class to biology class. But really, my point is there was a certain passion deep within me that inspired me to go and to want to do these things. So don't do anything because you must. In medical school, we used to have a conversation about how many of us ended up there. And actually, we, in many instances, made conclusions even though without enough research. A majority of us had ended up in medical school because we were brilliant. We were brilliant, we passed and ended up there. But not many of us had found a certain passion, a certain calling. And perhaps it explains why we have so many people graduated medical school but very few practicing it. And I'm sure it's not just in medicine, it's many other spaces. But that place where you find a passion, and I personally believe that it is okay for you to realize that my passion is not in this thing, even when you graduated, and find where your passion is and actually invest. Not that you should drop out of a job and go to you, but to start to build something until you have the tenacity to do what you would want to do and not necessarily rely on what you must be, even though there is a wisdom to balance there. But yes, that was lesson number 3, that you should not underestimate your passion. And if you are in a certain career and maybe people are saying there is no money in medicine, there is no money in law, there is no money in engineering, their workspaces can be so toxic. And when you sit around people of your career, you can feel like, oh, I made the worst decision. Yet, maybe outside, people are looking at you like, yeah, the hero. But I think when there is something, a wonder that dies when you have achieved what you wanted to achieve in life. So there is always that bit. And when in the midst of what everyone is saying, for you, you still feel like every time I wake up and go to the hospital, irrespective of how hectic a day is, I come back home and I feel fulfilled. Then perhaps this is more than just a career. Perhaps there is a calling to it. Yes. And my 4th lesson is that, wow, prayer works. Like I told you guys in my introductory video, I am a Christian, and perhaps even in how I have been talking already, you can tell that I am a Christian. And yes, actually, even to build from the last point, there is a portion of scripture that says that uh, God works in us both to will and to do according to his purpose. To will, to that passion that you have, you can't explain why you love these people, but you love them. You can't explain why you're drawn to computers, but you're drawn to them. And so that thing that calls you to purpose. And I have realized that then my 4th point being that prayer works. Now, at this point, I would like to drum roll and I would like to shout out to the originals. Yeah, I love you guys. So the originals are my sisters. For those of you who know me personally, you probably already know them. But yes, they are friends of mine from Nerigi High School. And I remember there was a time, and I think that's the season that really, really bonded us, where we gave ourselves to God in prayer, and we were mainly praying about our career paths. We were toward exams, we were praying about exams, we were praying about our life after high school, university, the courses we were going to do. And up to this day, I know that that time was very defining in each of our lives. But for me in particular, it is in that time that I started to have a very strong conviction that I not just that I wanted to be a doctor, because when I was already doing biology, so I was already in this one's on to be doctors club. But also even where I wanted to do the medicine from. Now, around that time, we spent some amount of time praying. I will not mention the exact time, but it was, a good time praying. And around that time, I had the conviction that I want to do medicine at Mbara University of Science and Technology. And I had studied from Western Uganda. Actually, I have studied from Western Uganda all my life. So you would argue that why do you want to go to Mass? Like go to Makerere and experience that. But for some unknown reason, maybe the passion that I was talking about, I just felt like I want to do medicine and I want to do it from Bar University of Science and Technology. I used to tell these girls that, me, I'm going to do medicine at Bar University of Science and Technology. And I remember the day I took in my forms. Those forms we put in to apply for government scholarship. That day after I had handed in and walked out, is the day I said, wait, why did I put must? Why am I going to marry? Why didn't I go to Makerere? Because all my friends are going to Makerere. I'm going to be alone in Imbara. But that thought came after I couldn't take it back. And again, I very much believe, no, beyond reasonable doubt, that there was a great purpose for me in doing my medicine in Bar. And I believe that even the university you go to does a lot of defining in your life. Yeah, one of which I believe is my marriage, but we will not have this conversation right now. But yes, so wherever you go, whatever you do, has prayer does prepare you to the right place. It does prepare you to the right place. So learn to give yourself to prayer. And in your career where you feel like nothing is moving, guys, nothing is moving. I thought I would be past this level now, and it's already a year past the time I thought I would have moved. I haven't moved. Give yourself to pray and trust God. Prayer really, really does work. All the girls that I've told you about, the original, we all ended up exactly where we had seen ourselves, where we had desired to be. Not because we were the most brilliant, no, but because in our giving ourselves to God, somehow He made us desire what He already purposed for our lives. And then He propelled us to our very places of purpose. Yes. And then finally, which is number 5, is that hard times don't necessarily mean it's not your calling. This one, allow me say hi to everyone who has done medicine in your life. I have been told that every other course is hard, but I have never done. So, yeah, everyone who has done medicine, I love you. At this point, please receive my hug. Those of you are in medical school, and any other school, law school, I see people crying in LDC. I see people crying in engineering school. Everywhere, actually. I am sorry if I use the major traditional courses. I know there are so many, and I honor and respect all of them. But there is a time where you feel like, but if this was my calling, it wouldn't be this hard. Like, how can it be my calling and be this hard? And I have realized it's not just in school, but it's also in the workspace, because there is a certain expectation you have immediately after school. You feel like, finally I'm done. World, here I am, receive me. This is me, the one you've been waiting for. And then the world is like, okay, receive you where? And then you start to feel like, me, I am cold. If you're not receiving me now, perhaps what I did is wrong. Now I need to go and find where I should be. But the person, one of the men I listen to and trust so much, always says a lot, positioning trust the process. So trust the process, trust the process. If you have a conviction in your heart and you know there is something here, and if you have prayed and you have believed that God has brought you here, I know it is hard right now. I know you feel like you should give up. I know You even feel like, but this can't be it. This can't be it. I know you're even thinking about the fact that your father is going to post you to do that course, and you're like, this can't be it. These things might, this degree is my father's degree. But perhaps, just maybe perhaps, whatever is causing all that is because you're going through a hard time. Pause, forget everything going on around you, and think quite straight. Maybe, just maybe, it's not just a career. Maybe there is a calling. Yes, so those are my 5 points, and there is a lot more. I know you people in your journey to becoming who you have become, or who you even want to become, because well, the journey still continues. There are some things that you have seen, you have learned, that you feel like, yeah, I wish people knew this, or I would like to also share this in this conversation. Please feel free to put it in the comment section and add the discussion continue. Otherwise, I love you very much. Thank you for being here with us. And as usual, for everyone that feels like, yes, I have a career, I have not found myself, I feel like I don't get this calling thing. Really, the one who has called us is Jesus Christ, and the only way for you to find yourself and to find your calling is to find Him. So I would like to give you an opportunity to give your life to Jesus Christ. Right now, kindly repeat after me. Say, Lord Jesus, I thank you for my life. I thank you for the opportunity to know you. I thank you for dying on the cross for me. This day, I receive you in my life as my Lord and my Savior. I am born again. Amen. Yes, if you've made that prayer, you are born again. And please find a church and start going there. And that's the best thing you can do for yourself. Otherwise, I love you guys. And of course, shout out to Creative Media, Creative Podcasts. For those of you who would like to do podcasts, please reach out. You will have a very beautiful space to express yourself. And otherwise, I love you, Dr. Masike Mogela. Once again, till next time.